example where we will see how to plan a sacrifice. The position we have here is black to play. The position is very similar to the Greco's attack position with colors reversed. C6, knight is attacked twice and white must have thought black needs to play the move bd7 to protect c6 or qc7. But black is already somewhat ahead in development. So black thought of giving up the pawn on c6, continue with his development. But how to plan it? How to decide whether we need to give the sacrifice and whether the sacrifice is justified. So black goes into the variation here, castle, knight c6, bc, bishop c6. The bishop on c6 attacks a8 and it looks like next move white will castle. But black thinks of the move bishop a6, stopping castle, and he is ready to give up the rook on a8. So exchange is giving. Already he is a pawn down and he is ready to give up the exchange on a8. So how do we decide? Because see, here there are no forced lines. Nothing is there after the sacrifice. Nothing will happen instantly. So that position we have to have in mind with bishop on a6, queen on a8, and try to understand, is the sacrifice justified? We'll go to that position and see what black thought. Of course, in the game, black has to think beforehand, before giving up. Bishop a6, bishop a8, queen a8. Let's have this position in our mind, and now we can see it clearly what are his ideas. For the exchange and pawn, we see that black is very active. Knight, bishop, bishop plus the rook, they are doing great job. White king is permanently caught in the center. The bishop c1 cannot block this bishop on a6. Knight c3, knight e2 is a very slow way to go about the position, because knight c3 would instantly allow d4 perhaps. And we will see that queen into g2 would be taken. There would be serious damage. See, after knight c3, d4, ed, qg2, almost winning for black. Rook e8 check is in the air. So black must have anticipated this. Knight c3 is not possible. It means to stop this d4 threat, white has to do some other move, which is what he did. He played queen f3, at least trying to develop, block the diagonal, and it looks like still white is fine. But here black had planned things already. He saw that bishops are doing great job, and he had seen that the square d3 is really weak. So he had made a plan of going knight d7. He played the great move knight d7. See, usually these things don't happen. We give a sacrifice, then slowly we are maneuvering, and then suddenly it is that the opponent cannot defend. See now, the major threat is knight e5 followed by knight d3 check. So if white goes for the move qg3, then black has qc6. Threat is bd6, attacking the queen, attacking c1. So white can go mc3. But now see, after the move bishop d6, knight e5, we can make out that situation has gone out of hand. Major threats are there. Knight d3, king f1, knight c1 would win material. kd1 or d2 may allow knight f2. So this position is losing. See, this was the plan which black had, doing the maneuver knight d7, knight e5. So white played the move knight c3 simply. Now knight e5, and he went queen takes d5. This was his main idea. That is why he played knight c3. After the move queen f5, we see that there is simply knight d3 check, king d1 almost forced, and now comes d4. He takes d4, bishop d4, and we see there are threats on f2. Now after bishop e3, there is the very strong knight b2 check, kc2 allows bd3 check. So after kc1, bishop c3, it is black who is winning. So thus after knight e5, white went with the move queen d5. This was his idea, keeps the diagonal closed, offers the trade of queen. Of course, black is not interested in trading the queen. Now comes knight d3 check. Of course, king f1 or e2 allows knight f4 check. Queen would be taken, kd1, and now comes qc8. Black is not interested in taking knight f2 instantly. He wants to use the move qg4 check. After the move queen f3 here, rook d8 would be winning for black. For instance, queen f3, rook d8, kc2, there is the very strong ne file followed by bd3 check. He plays kc2 first and now still comes the move rook d8. Queen has to go away over here. He played the move queen h5 in the game. After the move queen g5, there is the very strong knight f2, not for the rook, but after any move like rook e1, there is the very strong bishop e7. How the white king is caught up in the middle we can see. Now the threat is bd3, kb3, queen c4, checkmate. And if queen takes e7, then also we see that after bd3, kd2, there is the very strong knight e4 check. Knight takes e4 allows qc2 mate. So kd1 forced, and now knight c3, bc, first destroying the knight which could have gone to e2, and now qg4 check. Game over. kd2 forced, queen g2 check, kd1, qc2 or bc2 checkmates. So basically now the position is totally lost. Let's go to the game and see what happens after qh5. Black played knight f4. The white queen is attacked, and after the move e takes f4, again we have the move bishop d3 check, king b3, queen e6 check, king a4 forced, qc4 check, b4, bishop c2 check, king a5 forced, and rook a8 checkmates. And after bd3, kd2, then bishop g6 check and queen would be taken. So thus after the move nf4, white decided to resign over here. So we saw how we can plan the sacrifice, especially when we are making a positional kind of sacrifice. I hope you are finding these lessons useful and instructive. Do let me know in the comments below. Thanks for your time.